I never imagined that the simple silver band on Ryan's finger, the one I had slipped on during that quiet sunrise in gold, would one day feel like a chain around my own heart, pulling tighter with every unspoken lie. My name is Arjun, and looking back now, every moment we shared feels both painfully vivid and heartbreakingly fragile. Like a dream I kept convincing myself was real even as the edges began to blur. We had built something rare in the middle of Delhi's chaos and our family's silent disapproval. Two men who chose each other when the world kept saying we couldn't. I still remember the first time I saw him during a cramped college fest meeting. He was arguing passionately about budget allocations, sleeves rolled up, eyes blazing with conviction. Later, he confessed he'd noticed me sketching in the corner, my charcoal-smudged fingers and quiet focus drawing his attention. You looked like you were in your own world, he'd said. I wanted to be in it with you. College days were stolen kisses in empty stairwells, his hand finding mine under the table during group studies. The way his laugh would soften whenever he caught me staring. We'd share cheap maji from a single bowl, sitting on the hostel rooftop, talking about dreams that seemed too big for two boys from conservative families. After graduation, we fought for our little life together. Late night talks about coming out on our own terms. The fear and thrill of renting that small, sunlit, Guggen apartment where we could finally lock the door and just be us. On that beach, with waves whispering secrets and the sky turning pink, Rianch had taken my hand, eyes glistening as he slid the ring onto my finger. This stays with me forever. Arjun, no matter what the world throws at us, this ring means you're my home. His voice had cracked then, raw with the kind of emotion that made me believe nothing could touch us. I had believed him completely, tracing the cool metal on his hand every night like a silent prayer. The early years of our marriage were a cocoon of quiet joy. Mornings started with the aroma of Adrak Wali chai I made while he showered, his damp hair and sleepy smile, pulling me in for a slow kiss that lingered just long enough to make my chest warm. He'd hum off-key, two old Bollywood songs while searching for his tie, and I'd straighten it for him, breathing in the scent of his sandalwood soap. Evenings were quiet, comforts him sprawled on the couch after long office hours, head in my lap as I ran fingers through his hair, sharing whispers about our day while the city hummed outside. He'd complain about his boss. I'd show him my latest design drafts, and we'd order greasy takeout and eat it straight from the containers, laughing at nothing. His career in marketing was climbing fast, the ambitious one with a charming smile that opened doors. My freelance graphic design work kept me home more, designing logos and posters that paid the bills but left me waiting for him. Sometimes, when he came home late, he'd find me still at my laptop, and he'd wrap his arms around me from behind, pressing a kiss to the nape of my neck. You're my anchor, baby, he would murmur against my skin, his voice a low, honeyed rumble. No matter how crazy the world gets, coming home to you centers me. Our intimacy was a language of its own. Those nights, with the dim lamp casting soft shadows, he'd pull me close with a tenderness that undid me hands, gentle yet hungry as they traced familiar paths under my shirt. He'd whisper my name like a benediction, his breath hitching as we moved together in the quiet hours, skin against skin. Afterward, he'd hold me, his ring glinting in the moonlight as it rested against my chest, and I'd trace the inscription with my fingertip. Forever, us. I cherished every second, convincing myself that the late nights and growing distance were just part of his success. After all, he still wore the ring proudly in front of me, still called me Jan in that low, affectionate tone that melted my worries. But doubts have a way of seeping in, silent and persistent, like monsoon damp through a poorly sealed window. It began with small things. A phone that used to lie casually on the coffee table now stayed face down, always within his reach. Notifications that used to be generic now had message previews turned off. The faint scent of a sharper, unfamiliar cologne clinging to his collars when he finally came home, exhausted. A scent I didn't recognize, and he couldn't explain. Must be from a client meeting, he'd say. Already heading for the shower, and I'd nod, pushing the unease down. His absences grew longer, the excuses flimsier. Team off-site this weekend, he'd announce casually, kissing my forehead before leaving, his ring glinting as he waved goodbye. I'd spend those weekends alone, wandering the apartment, his side of the bed cold and untouched. Once, I found a hotel receipt in his jeans pocket while doing the laundry. He said it was for a work conference, but the date was a Saturday, and he hadn't mentioned any conference. I told myself I was being paranoid, that love like ours didn't shatter over small things. One stormy evening in late July, he texted that he'd be crashing at a colleague's place to avoid the flooded roads. Something in my gut twisted painfully. I waited up, the apartment feeling cavernous, the thunder outside echoing my growing dread. I replayed memories of how he used to rush home just to hold me, the way he'd once braved a similar storm just because I was scared of lightning. When he returned past midnight, hair slightly tousled, and that cologne stronger than ever, he pulled me into bed with the same familiar warmth, his lips brushing my ear as he mumbled apologies. His hands roamed softly, igniting that familiar spark. But even as our bodies moved together in the dark, there was a distance. I couldn't name a mechanical quality to his touch that felt wrong. His ring was on the bedside table that night, not on his finger. Slipped off earlier, he said lightly, when I noticed. But the excuse landed heavy in the quiet room. I pushed the unease down, letting his touch soothe me, telling my racing thoughts that love like ours didn't shatter over small things. But even as I held him afterward, I felt a chill that no amount of body heat could dispel. The night, everything, fractured, started innocently enough. The rain was hammering our windows like impatient fingers demanding truth. Rayansh had texted about another late pitch session, promising he'd be back soon, but the hours stretched. Needing my charger, I grabbed his car keys and headed downstairs, the cool metal of the fob familiar in my palm. I'd done it 100 times before grabbed his spare charger from the glove box. But this time, something felt different. The car smelled faintly of that cologne, and the passenger seat was pushed further back than mine required. Thought inside the glove box, amid old receipts and forgotten pens, my fingers brushed something small and cold. His ring, not lost at the gym as he'd claimed weeks ago, but deliberately tucked away, wrapped in a tissue like something shameful. My breath caught, a sharp ache blooming in my chest as I turned it over in the dim car light. The inscription, "We'd chosen, forever, us," mocking me now. I remember standing there, frozen, the ring burning in my palm, the rain drumming a frantic rhythm against the windshield. Why would he hide it here? The answer arrived before I could fully form the question. A dark, chilling whisper in my mind. He takes it off. He takes it off when he's with someone else. My hands trembled as I searched the rest of the car. Under the driver's seat, tucked away, as if forgotten, I found a second phone. Cheap, unassuming, its screen protector smudged. It was locked, but a few swipes revealed message previews on the lock screen. One name appeared again and again. Vikram. My vision blurred. Vikram, the younger colleague he'd mentioned in passing. Just the new hire. Nice guy. We split lunch sometimes. I'd seen a photo once. A group shot from an office party. A handsome man with sharp features and an easy smile, standing a little too close to my husband. I dismissed the flicker of unease then. Now, I unlocked the phone using Rayansh's birthday guess. A desperate stab and it opened. What I found inside sliced through me like glass. Messages spanning 8 months. Photos of Rahanch in hotel rooms, shirt unbuttoned, laughing with that easy charm directed at someone else. Voice notes I couldn't bring myself to play, but could imagine. Vikram's smooth tone calling him baby, and Rayanch's reply, husky and intimate. The same voice he used with me during our quiet nights. The words swam before my eyes. Last weekend was everything. You make me feel alive again. He's too trusting. He won't suspect anything. You know I love you, right? He's too trusting, referring to me. And Rayanch hadn't corrected him. Each message was a new wound. Timestamps overlapped with nights he'd come home to me, kissing me softly, while the evidence sat hidden in this phone. The night of our 8th anniversary, when we'd exchanged handwritten notes and slow danced in the living room. He'd texted Vikram an hour later, wish you were here instead. My stomach churned. I remembered that night I'd felt so happy, so loved. He'd held my face and told me I was his everything, and then, after I'd fallen asleep, he'd slipped away emotionally to someone else. I don't know how long. I sat there, rain blurring the windshield, tears finally slipping down my cheeks. The betrayal wasn't just the cheating, it was the elaborate, meticulous deception. The way he'd taken off our ring to be with Vikram, then put it back on before coming home. The way he'd preserved the illusion of our marriage so carefully, keeping me as the safe, steady husband, the anchor while chasing something thrilling and new. I thought of our Goa sunrise, of his tear-streaked face as he promised forever. Was any of it real? Had I been alone in this love all along? Why wasn't I enough? I whispered to the empty car, voice breaking in the storm's roar. The pain was deep, suffocating, a slow burn that spread through every vein. Yet beneath it, a quiet resolve began to harden. I couldn't pretend anymore. Our anniversary dinner was tomorrow at 8. We'd planned for weeks. I would face him, ring in hand, and let the truth unravel whatever was left of us. That evening, I set the table with a care that hurt. Candles flickered between us, like the hope I was desperately clinging to. I'd opened the wine from our wedding night, the same label we'd promised to save for the 10-year mark. The playlist from Goa played low, the familiar melody of our first dance song slicing through me with every note. I dressed in the shirt he'd always said made my eyes look warm, and I waited when Rayanch walked in, loosening his tie with that familiar smile. My chest tightened painfully. He looked so normal, so much like the man I'd fallen in love with. He leaned in for a kiss on my cheek, murmuring, "Missed you today, young. These late nights are killing me, but it's all for us." The words landed like stones in still water. For us. Just hours ago, I'd read a message where he'd described our home to Vikram as the place I can't wait to leave. We sat across from each other, the candlelight dancing across his handsome face. For a moment, I let myself pretend everything was fine, that we were just two people deeply in love, celebrating another year together. But the ring in my pocket was a cold, hard truth against my thigh. My hand trembled slightly as I reached into my pocket and placed the silver band on the table between us. It clinked softly against the wood, the sound louder than thunder in my ears. Rayanch's smile faltered. His eyes locked on the ring, and I watched as the color drained from his face. Arjun, where his voice was cautious, almost gentle, but I could see the cracks starting, the rapid calculation behind his eyes. I met his gaze, the man I had loved so fiercely, and felt every beautiful memory twist into something sharp. In your car, hidden away, just like the 8 months you spent with Vikram. The name landed like a grenade. His expression shifted, guilt, panic, a flicker of something defensive. Arjun, I can explain. Explain what? My voice stayed steady at first, though my heart hammered wildly. Explain how you took off our wedding ring, and hid it so you could pretend you weren't married. Explain how you told him you loved him, how you called him baby, the same name you used for me. Explain how every time you came home and kissed me, you'd just been in his bed. He flinched as if I'd slapped him. It's not like that. It was just work. Got intense. And he was there. It didn't mean I stopped loving you. I let out a shaky breath, the ache in my chest blooming into something raw and exposed. Don't? I held up a hand. Don't tell me about love while you're wearing the marks of someone else's touch. I saw the messages, Rayanj, the photos, the voice notes where you sound exactly like you did with Mitha. Same hushed, intimate tone, the same promises. You make me feel alive again. So what am I? What was I? Just the one who kept the house warm while you went out and felt alive? He reached across the table, but I pulled my hand back. I gave you all of me, I continued, my voice cracking now. I fought for us when my own parents couldn't accept who I am. I trusted you with every broken piece of my heart. And you kept me in the dark, using my trust as a shield while you built something secret with him. You even said it. He's too trusting. That's how you saw me, not as a partner, as someone convenient. Tears streamed down my face, and I didn't bother wiping them. Every night you came back to me, holding me close like nothing had changed. Was any of it real? Or was I just a place to sleep between your real life with him? Rayansh's own eyes glistened, and for the first time, his composure shattered. It was real, he choked out. It is real. You're my home, Ajahn. I just got lost. No. I shook my head slowly, the pain settling into something cold and final. Home is where you wanna be. Home is the person you don't lie to for 8 months. You took this ring off our symbol, our vound. You hid it. That's not lost. That's deliberate. That's choosing someone else, over and over, while keeping me as the safety net. I stood, the candlelight flickering wildly now. I won't be your anchor anymore, Rayansh. I won't be the one you come back to for comfort while you give your passion to someone else. I deserve someone who doesn't need to take off his ring to love me. He rose too, desperation cracking his voice. Please, I'll end it. I'll change. Give me a chance. I looked at him one last time, this man who had been my entire world, whose smile had once felt like sunrise. I already gave you every chance. Every time I ignored the late nights, the strange scents, the lies, I gave you my trust, and you used it as a blueprint for how to betray me. I walked to the door, my heart shattering with every step. At the threshold, I paused, not turning around. The ring is yours. The inscription says, Forever US. But there is no us anymore. You ended that the moment you decided. I was too trusting to notice. The door closed behind me, and the sound was quieter than I expected. Just a soft click. The final punctuation on a story I'd thought would end very differently. Outside, the rain had stopped, and the streets glistened under the street lamps, clean and empty. My phone buzzed with a text, his name on the screen. A string of pleas and promises I already knew I wouldn't read. I slipped off my own ring for the first time in years, the skin beneath it pale and foreign. I held it in my palms, this small, simple circle that had meant everything. It still meant everything. That was the tragedy. But meaning something, I finally understood, wasn't enough. Love couldn't survive on memories alone. And trust, once shattered, could never be perfectly reassembled. It would always show the cracks. I walked into the night, the diamond-studded sky opening above me like a promise of something new. And for the first time in months, I could breathe. Not easily, not without pain, but I could breathe. Forever. Us, the ring had said. But forever had ended, and I was still here.
Okay, so that's the story. Hard to narrate, not gonna lie. Because here's the thing about this story, it's not a ghost story or Omega Verse, it's just real. Two guys who build a life together in a country where that's still incredibly hard. They fought for their love when the world told them they couldn't have it. And in the end, it wasn't family pressure or it or homophobia. It was betrayal. That quiet, everyday kind, the phone face down, the unfamiliar corridor, the hidden ring in the glove box. I have thoughts. First, Arjun wasn't naive. He was trusting and a little too much. And there's a difference. He ignored the red flag because he wanted to believe in the man he married. That's not weakness. That's love. And love make you stupid things. Okay, and second, Rayansh. I don't hate him, and I think that's important. He wasn't a monster, he was someone who got lost. I think who took the easy way out, who confused comfort with obligation and passion with something new. But he still broke one person who trusted him completely, and that's unforgivable, even if it's understandable. Like the ending, Arjun walking out into the night, slipping off his ring. That's not a happy ending, but it's not an honest one. Sometimes love doesn't die, it's just become too heavy to carry. If you ever been the one who trusted too much, who gave everything and got back silence, this story is for you. You are not alone. Subscribe if you want to know what happened next. Because Arjun is not the one who will let him do whatever he wants because he is trusting but not naive. He can do everything he wants if he set his mind to it. So if you want to know the messy story that happened, the kind that hurts but teaches you something, and let me know in the comments, would you have stayed? Would you have walked away sooner? See you in the next one. Same heartbreak, same channel. Bye bye.